Welcome everyone to our release party slash virtual reading for Conchas y Café Peregrinations. Yeah, seeing some raising the roof up there. Nice, very nice. So it's very good to see you all. Those of you that I can see on video, and then those of you that joined us by phone, I'm very happy to have you on here. And those of you that might be watching out there in the internets, the interwebs, welcome. For those who might not know, who are joining us for the very first time for any kind of Conchas y Café event, Conchas y Café is a creative writing workshop series. It is bilingual, and in past forms, it was offered as a in-person workshop series at 3 different libraries, which included the Baldwin Hills Branch Library, the Vernon Branch Library, and the East LA Library. And now that we're, coping with the current situation with the COVID-19 pandemic and all, our workshop has transitioned to be virtual. And, we're now celebrating virtually the release of our first zine of the pandemic. So, let's give ourselves a round of applause one more time. Yes. Good. Thank you. Love it. So if those of you that are on the call right now, hopefully you'll be receiving this right here. Hopefully you can see it, but this right here is the physical version of our Conchas y Café Volume 5, Issue number 3, Peregrinations. Backside right here, front side, and then all the lovely pages on the inside. Mauricio just said thick. Thank you, Mauricio. It is thick, right? Yeah. So it's an excellent zine. It took me a little bit longer to actually produce for us than it normally would because of obviously everything needing to be kind of digitized and in a way that's different from how we normally make our zines. But you'll hopefully be receiving your copies soon. Also, before we start our reading, I wanted to invite everybody to actually join our Conchas y Café workshops that are starting Volume 6. For those unfamiliar with publishing terminology, volumes means years. So Volume 5 just ended, right? We just finished a full 5 years of our workshops, which is a pretty big milestone considering that, this was a small workshop series that started at the East LA Library first. But yeah, full 5 years. And now year number 6 is starting, and it's starting on Tuesday. I'm going to switch over to presentation mode. Yeah, I see at least one person is excited. I'm going to switch over to presentation mode real quick to share with you all the information. So here you have the information for Conchas y Café Volume 6. Our fall 2020 series theme is going to be Our Voice, Our Place. So we'll be exploring beginning Tuesday, different ways in which we express ourselves and assert ourselves as a community through writing. This will be every Tuesday from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m., beginning obviously, like I said, Tuesday, the 28th of July. And this series will go every week until the 13th of October. If you would like to register, anybody that's watching is an audience member, or those of you who have been longtime Conchas y Café participants, this will be also through Google Classroom. So you just simply log on to Google Classroom, whether that be on the web or using the app. And this right here is the code for actually entering and registering. Those of you that can't see or are listening by phone, the class code is letter D as in Daniel, the number 3, N as in Nancy, V as in Victoria, Y, G, Y. So just type in that code and you'll be able to actually join the Conchas y Café workshop series online. I'll be posting that information to all of the DSTL Arts social media so people can begin registering now. But the class is open and you guys can begin registering. It's obviously free, just like all digital arts programming, and it will be something that hopefully will take on a whole new life now that we're going digital. So um, the only other thing that I wanted to share with everybody right now while I'm on presentation mode is the PDF copy of our zine. So uh, it does exist as an e-zine as well. E-zines are available through Distill Arts' website too. So you can actually get a copy of this virtually, digitally. And we offer a $10 subscription, which gets you a zine every time that it comes out. So, you'll be able to stay up to date if you're not one of the participants in the workshop and just simply would like to support. So our e-zines are also an option for anybody looking to get a copy. So I hope that you guys are able to join us in the future with our workshops, programs. Obviously, I look forward to getting subscriptions. Um, and yeah, that's basically it for my um, whole spiel. Does anybody have any questions? Those of you that are on the call?
Not right now.
Not right now. All right. So um, for this reading, it's I think only appropriate that we kind of go in order of the table of contents. So obviously not everybody is on the call that has participated, but we'll go in the order of the table of contents of the zine. I'll call on you and then feel free to perform your poetry as you see fit.
Louis,
Yes.
I'm here. I went over to the computer. I'm trying to get on the computer. I hear you guys are seeing each other and having fun, so I got you on my house phone speaker at the same time trying to get you on the screen, but it's not working for me.
Oh, okay. Well, at least we can hear you. So I'm glad that you could join us. Is that Miss Lois?
It's me.
Good to see you, Miss Lois, or at least good to hear you. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our reading. And I think, well, if you guys can indulge me a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and actually start off with the foreword. So normally I don't write forewords in the zine, but these last two issues with Golden State, the one before Peregrinations, it was dedicated in the memory of Fabiola Manriquez, who was our day oneer. She was with us from the very beginning. So obviously that issue we dedicated it to her upon her passing away, and it was the first time that I actually used the foreword in the zine. And this time, being the special, unique circumstances of the pandemic, I felt it was important to address that also. So I'm going to read the foreword, and then we'll get started with your guys' reading. Conchas y Café is a bilingual creative writing workshop series that started in the fall of 2015 with a small group of emerging writers and artists at the East Los Angeles Library. This workshop series grew over the course of the first 3 years to later include groups of bilingual adult writers and artists from the frequently underserved and marginalized communities of not just East Los Angeles, but also South Los Angeles and the various neighborhoods in between. The vision for the Conchas y Café program was simple: provide inspiration and guidance to emerging authors and artists in a way that empowers them to tell their story in their own words, free of the academia of typical creative writing workshops. The tenets of accessibility, inclusion, and equitable representation were always guiding forces in the formation of all Distill Arts programs. Conchas y Café, in fact, has lived up to the mission of Distill Arts and these values for a now complete 5 volumes of Conchas y Café Zine publication. Conchas y Café Zine, Volume 5, Issue 3, Peregrinations, is the closing issue of our 5th publishing year, and it happens to be the most unprecedented of all issues of Conchas y Café Zine to be released. The 12-week workshop series that led to the creation of this issue started in mid-February of 2020. just as the world was beginning to see the quick international spread of a new virus that humanity had never seen before. The world was becoming a former shell of itself with great speed, and this led to many changes in how, quote unquote, things were done. Our partner libraries closed their doors to the public to reduce viral transmission. People began getting laid off or furloughed from their jobs due to mandated closures of non-essential businesses. Individuals working in the gig economy suddenly saw the complete loss of their income, all thanks to a microscopic creature that learned how to quickly disable the standards of a millennia of human interaction. But our capacity for storytelling and creativity persisted. The inherently human act of creative expression manifests in multiple forms across our community. With the fortunate ability to take our Conchas y Café workshop series online, lessons in creative writing and critical theory continued to be delivered. Poetry continued to be written and critiqued. Our workshop participants used the space that was created via Conchas y Café to express their faith, worries, reflections on life and society, and so much more. The result is the collection of works found here in Conchas y Café Zine, Volume 5, Issue 3, Peregrinations. The theme, which was selected before any news of a global pandemic came to light, was the human journey. Through lessons centered on understanding the transmission of culture, beliefs, and language, plus the concept of continuity and change, our workshop participants truly explored what it means to be human, and furthermore, what it means to be human in a time when we can't physically interact. Let this zine be a reminder of how humanity can survive. Let this zine be a testament to the resilience of human nature and our capacity to spread anything we want. It's not always the best of our humanity that gets transmitted from individual to individual, from generation to generation. But the negative, as much as the positive, is necessary for us to remember in order for us to grow. Our strength as humans lies in our ability to remember. May we remember that our journey is the same journey we have been on since the beginning of time, and that our destination is not a physical place, but an enlightened understanding that all people are equal, all people are valuable, and all must act to ensure that no individual or community is marginalized again. This zine is dedicated to the lives and memories of all who have come before us, to those who taught us about our humanity. This zine is dedicated to those who have risked their lives for our individual health, to those who show us that every human life is valuable, regardless of class, gender, race, or ethnicity. You give value to all of our stories. This zine is especially dedicated to those who have been unjustly marginalized, scapegoated, murdered, and used to perpetuate a history of division across the world. The concept of continuity and change shows us that history repeats itself, as all cycles do. But again, as all cycles do, they change. They evolve with time as our human journey takes us down uncharted paths. And along these new paths we currently tread, we will establish a new norm that equitably represents our community and our voices.
Yay.
Thank you.
That's good. Very nice.
Thank you. Thank you. So I hope that that at least kind of inspires us and basically helps remind us, right, that we're all valuable. All of our stories are valuable, and like I said before starting the reading, you know, that more people join us through the workshop series and continue to publish through DSTL Arts, through all the different zines that DSTL Arts produces. So our next step is obviously to celebrate these voices. So like I said, we'll start off with the order of our table of contents for this issue. And the first person that I believe is on our call here is Miss D. Thomas, Miss Deb Thomas. You now have the floor.
So I just had a question of which title is first in the book?
Your first piece is The Human Journey During COVID-19.
Okay. And then I wrote, be safe. Did you want me to read anything right now at the same time?
You can read both pieces if you like.
Okay. I kind of wanted to read something else that I wrote a while back, and be safe, instead of the human journey. But if you want me to read that, I will.
No? The mic is yours, Miss D, so you can read whatever you like.
Okay. So I will read Be Safe first. Seen a store the other day full of Lysol and sanitizer. Here is everything I need to clean, but my purse feels really lean, and the price is $25 and $30 for what was $2, 3 or 4. Sorry, I can't afford to buy ya. West Side, they got so much more. Be safe. Why are masses of black and brown folks dying? I'm seeing recovery galore. On TV, everybody smiling, rolling on acres of lawn and floor. Got everything needed to be giggly and laughing. I'm seeing poor broke folks outside the door with a dirty old mask in their pocket just so they can enter a store. I've seen it for many a year, bias in medical care. I know it's affected me and my life, not rich, not white. Are black folks being passed over when choices are being made? We are not weak people. Just ask any slave. Whoa, everybody's grinning on TV. I just can't find the reason why. But racism's been biting at my heels for a very long time. People all about survival, but the few have all the life rafts, throwing crumbs while in denial of why so many are left behind, and really making me so sad to hear great musicians be silenced by coronavirus 19. Musicians whose music is the very stuff of dreams. How dare an indifferent government turn away and not aid the lives of a people who've already paid and given so much over so many years, from New York City to the Gulf Coast shores, from California to Kansas, Michigan, and more. All through the South, our blood has fed the land, and all through the air, our voices say, I am. Be safe. Our lives count on. And I decided I would read something I wrote a while back because I wanted everybody to get the feeling of somehow what it might feel like sometimes when you're in a place of danger or an experience that has been with us for so many years. It's called Mississippi Downpour. I thought of traveling down that Mississippi highway. To take a shortcut, we turned onto a 2-lane. The invisible sky was dumping buckets of rain onto the windshield. It was as if all the world was flooding from the top down. Sky in the middle and the highway blended into one gray, wet splash. Dark matter awash in the deluge. The wipers, going as fast as they could, made a feeble but ineffectual attempt to clear the flood from the big van windshield. We were driving blind. I said, slow down. I don't want to end up on the side of the road in Mississippi. The humidity was thick enough to bite. Haunting, instinctual memories were somehow hovering around me, floating and emerging from the back of my mind and from the thicket beyond. Memories I've never lived, but know them well, just the same, of civil rights workers chased down, killed and buried, of black folks disappearing, never to be seen again on southern nights like this, under southern skies. How do I know in July of 1979 the enemy is not still out there? It felt not dissimilar to a trip into a funhouse, new adventure but scary just the same, the possibility of unseen threats around every curve in the road. Oh yes, I now realize if something happens enough, the memory is there for you, whether you experienced it yourself or not. And that vision of me in a van, slip sliding across the blacktop, careening over sheets of water into a ditch, on the side of the road in Mississippi conjured up some innate fear, instinctual fear. I tried again and again to overrule it and convince my northern-born mind this was not like any other travel. I mean, this was just like any other travel on any other road, that I was just riding in a van to our destination of Tuskegee, Alabama. I've done this a million times. It's a highway like any other in my country, but I couldn't escape the memories, not my own, the history of lynching, of killings, of disappearances and mayhem, of the hate war perpetrated on Black people. There was this niggling realization. It's not the same. This trip and my destination was just not like any other. I remember my aunts telling me, we were made to leave. My children are not safe here. I felt them, the souls of Black folks all around me in the thick air, all around me in the dense forest, around the kudzu draped trees and emanating from the ground. I saw blood running and I literally smelled it in the thick humidity of the downpour. I felt them. I felt my ancestors. I felt my people. Yes, I knew they were out there. I felt them out there. I heard this. Here's our child come home. We had to hide in the swamp. They were coming to get us, to kill us. All this was in my mind unspoken. I envisioned them tramping through the fields of cotton, sweating, backbreaking work, fingers bleeding, and yet surviving the abuse of ages. I could see small, hungry children and women and men dragging bags twice their weight in quiet desperation, wading through swampy marshes, running through the stands of trees, screaming at their captors, terrorized, hanging from the limbs. But the only thing I said was, slow down. I don't want to be stuck in a ditch on the side of the road in Mississippi, especially at night in a blinding downpour. That's the whole thing.
Thank you, Miss D. Wow,
Gracias.
you're getting snap all around.
I made some verbal mistakes. Thank you.
It's all good. Thank you for sharing. All right. So we'll continue on. Miss Michelle, are you still with us?
Yeah, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. All right.
So, ladies and
Mark?
gentlemen, Miss Michelle Smith.
Thank you. Good afternoon. And my poem is called Corona. Don't Stop the Beauty of the Beach. We're not gonna take it, nor will we fake it. Not my serenity, so free. Insulation of the salton sea air. Not because we are broke, unemployed, and the rent is due. Huntington Beach spoiled it all, thanks to the thousands. And Newsom is not a killjoy. You beach going, Orange County protesting fools. Woof woof. Where I escaped to liberate from my job, stress, doom, and gloom. The fog lifts from the waves and eventually from my brain as I drive or expo line to the Santa Monica coast or stroll at the Venice Boardwalk. Yes, we Angelinos want to escape the COVID-19 from the Oregon Trail to the Mexican border of 420 beaches y playas. Está cerrado por la gobernor's order or governor's order. Coastline, California, 840 miles long. I hear the song in my mind by a Tribe Called Quest. I left my wallet in El Segundo. It's the new song of the day, along with Mamas and Papas, California Dreaming. No more sunny, sandy, foggy, secluded, buzzy, and rocky beaches. Hang to in the surf, a gliding seagull, and the speed to catch a fish. A seashell to glean or feel the coolness of sand in my toes. Catch a wave to my waist and wearing my Land's End summer one piece. Seek the murkiness from the shore and water. And I say as I arrive, where is the palm tree from the sky's horizon? And, oh, I lost my poem. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I'm almost there. I lost it. Let's see. 1 minute. Oh my goodness. That's not part of the journey. Oh my God. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh my goodness. One moment. Oh my Lord. Let's see. Oh my goodness. What the devil? Okay. Oh, wrong one. No, 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 no. Un momento. Gracias por su paciente también. Catch a wave to my waist and worry my lands in summer one piece. Seek the murkiness from the shore and water and say, I have arrived. Where is the palm tree in the sky's horizon from sunset to sunset to sunrise? Feel the sunbeams on my face and warmth on my skin. Gain straight in my calves. Hitch my umbrella in a sandy spot and lay on my thirsty large towel, rainbow style by Costco. Snack on charcuterie and sangria too. Semi-drunk, drift into sunniness, and my novel falls into my face and lands on my nose. I smell a hint of banana boat or copper tone in the air. But wait a minute, I'm already melanated. Coconut oil is for my envied and natural curly hair. COVID-19, the surf's up, and not in my dreams. Corona, don't stop the beauty of the beach. This ban is unfair, unfortunate, and definitely untenable. Thank you.
Yay!
Thank you. I got audience at home.
Yay!
Excellent, excellent job, Miss Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's great. All right. So,
Thanks, guys.
yeah. So, just a quick little reminder: if you guys are not the ones that are on the mic at the moment, please make sure that you unmute yourself so that you can be able to hear clearly. And if you're having any kind of technical difficulties, you can always try switching off your video, and hopefully that'll help too. So up next, we have Miss Luz Donis. Let's give it up to Miss Luz Donis, ladies and gentlemen. You're on mute, Miss Luz. Looks like you muted yourself. See, are you able to?
Okay.
There we
Can
go.
you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I guess I'll go ahead and start with a very short piece on April 2020. I was feeling pretty blue. So it reads, April 2020. Insensible miasma, cold-blooded drifter. Touch to touch, touch to breath, breath to breath. You play dirty. Am I clean? Today I mask my fear. Reading a smile in your eyes, reaching an isolated touch. Stifled, smothered anger, muffled voice, freedom checked. Don't take my breath away. Thank you.
Excellent. Do you have more to share with us, Ms. Luz?
Yes, the next piece is about my impressions growing up in Boyle Heights. It's called Movimiento. Movimiento, Barrio Nuevo. Había una tacita de plata, Guatemala. Sus eternas primaveras alimentaron las raíces de mi gente. Dark, shiny, smooth skin, straight, black, spiky hair. Y ojos achinados, like my brothers. Los tamales hechos en hoja de plátano, no en tusa. Black beans, not pinto. Corn tortillas, not flour. To me, you are boss, not tú. My grandmother wore kaites, not huaraches. And her kids were often barefoot. My mom cried once because I didn't know the national anthem of the blue, white, blue flag. My favorite flag has the brown bear. We saw him at Sequoia, brown, strong, and free. Run, run, run. Movement 2. Wyverwood Garden Apartments. We're all the same because our buildings were the same. And we all went to Dakota Street School. There were always kids outside to play with. I really hated the cucarachas, though. They always came out from under la refri, the sink or the toaster, to scare me. What I hated more were the cholas y cholos, hanging out, drinking, smoking weed, or making out. We all knew how much they liked to fight. Maybe they want to kick my ass next. My brother is ditching school, coming home with 10-cent baggies in his coat, finally spaced out on angel dust. It's time to leave this hood. Try to save him. Hide, hide, hide. Movement 3, Hell Gardens. Scrambling like the roaches out of Grande Vista Avenue, stumbling onto Ajax Street in BG. Is this moving on up? I thought the white did better. Nixon runs, the war on drugs. La Nancy Reagan says, just say no. Lady Betty Ford didn't open her center for us. Our firstborn, a sacrificial lamb to this promised land. We paid our dues. Time to cash in the blue chip stamps. We're college bound. Seek, seek, seek.
Excellent.
Thanks, Mom. Is there time to read the Zihuatanejo piece?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. My parents, my family, we yearly try and make it to Zihuatanejo, a lovely bay in Mexico, in Guerrero. This is my impression. Zihuatanejo, watercolor, pink and blue, skies rising, salty, moist breeze for black-winged sparrows and bats. Ocean crashing on eternal sand, grains hiding turtle eggs beneath. Fishermen casting elusive flying fish, nets grasping. Hillside dwellers hungry to the marketplace, thirsty for trapped water in high coconut trees swaying. Squirrels tightrope walking, leaping to the almond trees. Vendors asking, dogs imprinted basking, children dripping, others sipping on your shore. No shadow dances, all enter trances, high heat on the glimmering bay. Buckets with cheese, baskets with bread, shucking and sucking of sweet oyster meat. Happy hour nears, 2 for 1 sign appears. Waiters serving, later all swerving. Sad songs lingering, beer breath whispering, melancholy seeping into the sands. 300 peso massage, oil, sweat, and pain. By her diligent hand, needs out the need to be in another land. Umbrellas shading faces, UV leaving traces, even on this oasis. Sailboats, sunsets, fleeting, snowbirds praying for another day on the bay. Thank you very much, everyone.
Congratulations, Ms. Ruth.
Thanks for the applause, Mom. Bravo, bravo.
Bravo, for sure. Miss Luz, ladies and gentlemen, a 5-year veteran of Conchas y Café. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. So up next, one of our newest participants, actually. Les presento a Paola Victoria. Paola, I believe you're on. I know you're joining us. Paola, can you hear us? I don't know if we can hear you, though. Ah, okay. You can't unmute yourself. Let's see if I can mute you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Hi everybody. I miss all of you. I'm really happy to still be here and be part of this virtual release of the zine. Even though I joined the group like in the latest stages at the library, I miss all of you. I miss like the workshop and everything. But I just want to share this with you that I wrote. Like, it was like a while ago, but now that I was in the workshop, I was able to like write a little bit more. This is a tribute to the generations of women in my family, and it's in Spanish. So it's called Nadie escarmienta en cabeza ajena. I hope you like it. Nadie escarmienta en cabeza ajena, decía la primera generación, la que siempre fue noble, la que tenía la ropa limpia, doblada y planchada. La comida lista antes de las 2 de la tarde y brindaba a la hora del amigo. Nadie escarmienta en cabeza ajena, repetía mientras secaba sus lágrimas después de una traición, y aún así no perdió fe en la humanidad, siempre cuidando sus plantas, siempre sonriendo. Nadie escarmienta en cabeza ajena, repitió la segunda generación, la generación que creció entre luces neón, flecos grandes y ropa con hombreras. La generación que agachó la cabeza, que fue sumisa, que no podía ejercer después de haber terminado la universidad, que no podían llegar tarde a su casa, que debían seguir la tradición de tener la comida lista antes de las 2, que fue violentada limpiando sus propias heridas, esperando que los hematomas desaparecieran, que soportó e hizo una manualidad con los vidrios del plato roto que le aventaron. Nadie escarmienta en cabeza ajena, repitió la tercera generación, con la mente un poco más abierta, blusas ajustadas, perforaciones y Converse. La generación que imitó y normalizó el comportamiento de las generaciones pasadas, que sufrió depresión, ataques de pánico, autoflagelación, falta de memoria, cultura de acatamiento, intentos de suicidio y dependencia emocional. Sí, se escarmienta en cabeza ajena, dijo la cuarta generación, porque todo flota, deja de doler, sana y como una flor de loto sale a la luz mostrando su belleza e independencia, su valor, su autocontrol. La generación que aplasta la tiranía y apuesta por sus metas. La vida es escuela gratis, dijo el abuelo en un sueño. And that's it.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah,
Paola.
no, thanks to you for like listening to this. Like, it's pretty much talking about like feminism in the future generations. I was born and raised in Mexico, in a small town called Puebla. So I come from a generation of women who like, I don't know, like they don't believe in themselves, like to be free and like, and I think like I'm the first generation who's like, I want to do more. I want to like be out of the stereotype and fighting for rights. And yeah, so yeah, thanks for listening to me. I miss all of you. And yeah, thank you, Luis.
Thank you for sharing your story with us. That
Of course.
you're getting lots of that was awesome. Lots of applause from everyone.
Oh,
so,
thank you.
congratulations. Thank you.
And then lastly, I want to share something like really small. It's called Sustancia Ineludible.
Right.
La frágil y corruptible naturaleza humana, corriendo evitando que la realidad te alcance. el inevitable miedo a la caducidad de las emociones, pasar de humano a objeto consumiendo ansiedad. Nada duele ni dura para siempre. Todo es temporal, temporal, temporal. And this one was more like, my mom says, like, tough times never last. And that's how I feel right now with all this COVID situation. And I know it's like really hard for all of us, like all these changes and stuff. But yeah, tough times never last. And yeah, I hope the best for all of you. And thank you. Thank you, everybody, again.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Paola.
Yeah.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Paola Victoria.
Yay.
Getting snaps there.
Thank you.
All right. So I'm not sure. I'm gonna ask. Do we have Stephanie Salas on the call here? No. I guess not. Quick little note. Because we were able to transition to a virtual workshop, we ended up actually getting some people that are not actually in LA County participating. So that was pretty cool. Stephanie Salas. Shout out to Stephanie. Who is coming to us from Turlock, California. So want to make sure I acknowledge that that our Conchas y Café family is spreading. Yes, and you did a good job there, Paula. So we'll continue on then with who I know is actually on the call with us, Miss Lois Jackson King, ladies and gentlemen.
Yay! Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, as everyone was speaking about the COVID, and I wasn't aware that we were scheduled or invited to write something, so I put something down as you were speaking, but I was still listening. But I don't have the copies of what I might have sent in for our journey, but I do have some readings from that if you allow me the time. So first I'll read what I jotted down on the COVID. Is that okay?
That's absolutely fine, Miss Lois.
Okay. Let me get the glasses pushed up. It says the COVID-19 has power over me. No, has not power over me. Thank God it's not in me. Many it has conquered and divided. It has strength. We must confess. It is complicating and it can bring much stress. Well-educated personnel who are in the medical realm, but their hands seem to be stopped. Wait a minute. But the COVID seems to have stopped their hands. We are a strong people who in this fight, let us stick together and hold real tight. Let us be obedient to the set health protecting rules, or you just might end up a lifeless fool. This COVID-19 is not racial, political, or religious. It is an existence that is not planned. So remember, together we can stand. That's it on that one.
Excellent. Thank you, Miss Lois. You're getting snaps and applause in the background here.
Well, it's okay. It didn't bother me. Was it from my phone?
No. I'm saying that that people on the video side are giving you applause and snapping.
I thought you said I was getting snaps from the phone or something.
No, sorry.
Okay. Can I read something else?
Yes, please.
Okay, this is called an attitude change, and I pulled some things that I thought it might be relevant to a journey. And a lot of times when we're going through something, we can be our own enemy. We can be positive or negative. And so this one is about an attitude, that you are what you eat. And well, anyway, I won't go into all those dissertations. But anyway, it's called an attitude change. You don't have to stand up on every beck and call. Don't allow just any unnecessary cause you to fall. We all have rights, just like everyone else. But don't push others down and puff up yourself. Let us give all mankind equal break. Keep from carrying around a dividing hate. You will be making the same doggone mistake. Color, culture, or title don't make a man, nor will DNA help you to stand. You will see as a man you can achieve if in yourself you believe. Where there is strength, there is power. You can be a tower. I believe in you, my brother. I will help and not give you any trouble. That's in the reading of that one. Those are to all my brothers, black, white, purple, and green.
Excellent.
I'm with you. And then the last one, well, it's not the last one because I have many, but sometimes a persuasion of your environment can cause things to make you travel a certain way. And this was called a crowd. And this was taken from an essay I did for my sociology classes, so I did shorten it for this particular purpose. A crowd can overpower your space. Sometimes a crowd will move you toward you in hate. Then the next thing you know, they all up in your face. A change in your character is there to see. When you say, stop breathing all over me, a crowd can persuade a direction, otherwise not intended. Traffic, others of conversation, and power of authority. A crowd can send you to a place you haven't been before. A crowd can be called a herd and can initiate the wrong door. People can be as a mob being led to an environmental event. Whatever is going on, the whole group is involved. If you are being herded or a crowd is pushing you in a direction you have not planned, you take control of you, your mind, and talk to God and entrust your direction in His hands. He will surely understand. For toward us work His love He has command. Okay, I could go on, but next, I can read another one.
All right. Thank you, Miss Lois. Thank you.
Okay.
You're, on the video side, you're getting all sorts of snaps and applause and a bunch of emojis expressing their love and gratitude.
Oh, bless all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love all of you. Sight unseen, it doesn't matter.
That's all right. We'll definitely be looking forward to hearing more of your poetry in the next issue as well, Miss Lois.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to continue on. And I want to also acknowledge one of the next people that I don't believe is on the call, but he was actually coming all the way from San Bernardino, participating virtually, one Andy Lara. So I want to shout out him before we move on to our next reader, a gentleman who is just awesome.
Hello, Louis.
Yes,
This is
yes.
Melanie. I'm going to
Yes.
have to leave, so I should have said something earlier.
Ah, okay. Well, if Mauricio, are you okay with passing the mic to Miss Mel before she has to leave?
Pass it on, man. It's all good.
All right. So, taking over currently, then, Miss Mel will give you the mic. Miss Melanie Jefferson, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, which one is in the book first? I'm Melanie Jefferson.
The first one that appears is Fear Not.
Oh, Fear Not. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm going to start. Fear not. As a people, we should fear not. Can you hear me?
Hear you.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, can hear you.
Fear causes psychological changes. It distorts your five senses. Fear causes distortion of your sight, distortion of your hearing. A man was running. He thought a dog was chasing him. It was leaves rustling. The world is fearful today because of the coronavirus. Face whatever you are feeling. Continue not to be fearful. You know about the 1918 influenza. People got through that. Religion helped them. If you believe in God, that can help you. With God, you can make it through. Do what the government said to do. Be cautious. Sit or stand 6 feet apart. Wash your hands often. Wear protective gear. When out in the public, call your friends. Keep in touch in this pandemic. You ought to be desperate. You ought not to be desperate. If your faith is riding with you, know that you will be going through some tough times. Love your neighbor in an unlovable time. You were taken off of your job and school so you could connect with your faith. If a ship is filled with water, trust in your faith, and it will get you through this pandemic. And can I read one more? I have two more. I'll just read one more, though, because my people are saying I have to go. Okay. So the next one is called Life in Bloom. A child is like a bloom. It was so for my oldest son. He was named after his father, but his nickname was Jay. He was a little ray. The sun always shined on Jay. He went through the terrible twos. It was hell on wheels. At 3, he liked to unscrew things, but he put them back together. He could fix my cabinets when they were loose. This was my son with the outgoing personality. Whenever we moved into a neighborhood, he was always the child that introduced the family to the neighbors. This made him like a blossom that went into society and bloomed. The meet and greet opens him up. He was a child that liked to stay active. Jay played soccer and baseball, and he participated in bike racing, helmet included. He later rode skateboards and participated in competitions. As a teenager, he bloomed into a very macho and self-sufficient young man. As an adult, the blossom turned into a bloom that became husband, father, and breadwinner. Thank you. That's it.
Excellent.
I can't, the other one is so short.
Thank you,
Okay,
Mattel.
thank you so much, and I'll just have to go.
Thank you for joining us.
I can join in later. Thank you.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye. All right. So, passing on the mic then, back to our list. I present to you guys Mauricio Soul on Fire Moreno.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to read from the newest edition of Conchas, and this one is called Cédula. And for those that don't know what cédula is, it's a Spanish word for an identification card. And when I was growing up, I actually had dual citizenship in Colombia because I was going there back and forth, and both of my parents are from there. So here we go, cédula. My finger presses against the ink pad. Black memoirs seep into the contours of my fingerprint. I press my index finger down onto a 3x3 inch cédula, my temporary Colombian identification. Permanent status, never granted to American-born, but a dual citizenship is granted as my consolation. I study the miniature maze on the paper, my genetic code embedded with the songs of my fathers, coded with rituals and behavioral patterns that create the cliches the world makes fun of. If I could take a scalpel and dissect every layer of divine skin, I would burrow deep, find the things about my blood that are impure, a dialysis machine to cure my toxic masculinity. Gender roles established by patriarchal rule keep the work ethic, but abolish the need to serve a master, be it money or God. I would sever ties with ideals of status, retain humility, the pride of honest labor, so housekeepers could have a seat at the dining table. I would inject my skin with tougher proteins so it would not break when bullets met our flesh. I would stimulate stem cells to build immunity to greed and erase the lust for war. If I could not rid my race of blemishes and cancers, then I would keep the parts that make me proud and leave out all the rest.
Snaps for you, my friend.
Thank you, my friend. All right. I have another one that's a 3-part, and this one's actually dedicated to my mother, and it's called Viaje, which means journey in Spanish. And it's 3 parts. Part 1. Uprooted, stolen from a childhood garnished with innocence. Long pigtails, sober school night dances. First kisses by the cobblestone plaza, Belencito festivals, and hands clasped together during the Colombian national anthem. Dreams deferred, taken away by your estranged mother. No explanation. You're coming to America. The only answer you get is a slap to the face. Your new reality is marijuana smoke, daily hallway stabbings, teen pregnancies, true love and romance, raped, left to die on the steps of innocence. All that's left are jagged morals, suckers with mommy issues, and chicken heads with abandonment and codependency. Your home, stripped away. You thought you were in control. Now adapt. Part 2. That big baby that grew in your belly has grown too restless in the nest. He never told you how much he loved you, though he said it through his eyes. In the wisdom of his silence, his refusal to waste wanton words. In the tension of the grip, his hand curled around his luggage. Wings spread on the tarmac, his extended long ago. You taste his beads of sweat as you kiss his forehead, tasting hesitation, uncertainty. You say your silent prayer for a safe return and for your broken heart. You thought you were in control. Now, adapt. Part 3. Stove burners bright red as she forgot to turn off the stove again. Forgotten half-finished coffee mugs, leftovers without a purpose, boxes of clothes hidden from imaginary predators. When you first said you would take care of your ailing mother, you could never know how bad she would get. You're not a nurse, the people scolded. Your family howled. She can't stay home by herself. But no one lifts an arm to bear the burden you bore by yourself. Now you hold a pamphlet, Sunrise Senior Living, with activities and daily trips to the mall, something you could not provide her. You see your mother's hate as she's wheeled away from you. Her scowl burns as she screams of your abandonment. You get in your car, roll up the windows, scream your broken heart out. You thought you were in control. Now adapt. Thank you all.
Excellent. You're getting snaps and all sorts of love in
Thank
the
you.
chat, my friend.
Thank you all.
All right. So, up next, another one of our 5-year Conchas y Café veterans. Ladies and gentlemen, I present Karen Grace Chen. Karen.
Hi. Sorry, I was trying to figure out how to do all the technical stuff. So actually, on behalf of your East LA contingency, your original East LA students, you know that if it wasn't COVID and it wasn't hell on earth right now, we would totally be doing like a completely embarrassing 5-year celebrate Uncle Louis for you at this time because we're very excited about having finished 5 years of Conchas y Café. So, but obviously it's weird COVID times. So, what we did instead is we tried to create a virtual piece of art for you. And I am going to try to, if you'll indulge me. Okay, let me figure out how to present my screen. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, hold on. But then I need to figure out how to, I will present the screen.
That's incredibly sweet of you guys.
Okay. Am I sharing my screen now? Can you see this?
Yes, it's activating. Oh,
So we virtually did this, and I still have a few pieces that people need to turn in, as you'll notice, because no one makes a deadline. But anyhow, so we divided up this poster for you, and then everyone took a piece and they created their own artwork. And then we digitally compiled it back together. And when I get it completed, I'm going to actually mail you a hard copy, like poster of it when it's done, along with the names of each square of who did what square. Although you might be able to guess some of them. But this is our artistic tribute to thank you for 5 years of leading us through all kinds of crazy. So we are super thankful for you. So
wow.
when we get that done.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you everybody that contributed. That's incredibly sweet. That's awesome. Thank you.
I figured we all figured you would appreciate art. And I know Judith couldn't get into the thing, but she's on the line listening. So Judith says hello too.
Okay,
Just
great.
so you know.
Thank you.
And let me see if I can figure out how to stop presenting my screen. And thank you to everyone who participated. Thank you so much. And for those of you who are still wanting to do or needing to get in touch with me so we can finish this up, yeah, get in touch with me, like somehow on Facebook or something. Okay, I'm going to stop presenting. Okay. Did I do that? Did it work? Did I do that right? Okay.
All right, Karen, you're on. The mic is all yours.
So this is called, this is weird because this is the one poem that I had been working on before COVID happened. So it was weird to kind of go back and try to work on it in the middle of pandemic crazy. I did write a bunch of pandemic related things that are all in the book. If you want, but they're all long, so I figured I would not read those. And like I said, this one I was working on before all of this happened. So trying to go back and finish it up was really kind of surreal. Yeah. This is called Kind of Green. Kind of green, flecked with gold and brown. Exactly the color of my dad's peacoat from when he worked for the military during World War II. Dancing around the inky black of pupils that are open too wide when I am tired, which is most of the time. Rimmed with tree color to contrast the white. I wanted green eyes like my mother. Aqua, sea foam green, a color I don't think I've ever really seen anywhere else. Striking, clear tide pools, tropical waters, unforgettable, but no. Olive green, that's what I got. Your mother's eyes are too cold for your warm soul. That's what the universe told me. So I walk through the world with my not quite green eyes. They carry the warmth of my father. 2. I did not get my mother's cold eyes, but at times I feel her hot blood course through my veins. When I get behind the wheel on a quiet night and I'm tempted to take off like a horizontal rocket, winding on a freeway, hugging into the curves, lights becoming streaks. I'm one with iron and steel. My reactions, flawless. On dusty, deserted back roads, my mother, poor as dirt in failed farms, filled with the ghosts of horses, drag raced against the boys and won. Blame the native blood that burns deep red in our souls and crooks our noses. I feel its desire to wander, fly. 3. The color of luck, they say. Do you know why green is considered lucky? Because of money. an overly friendly stranger pointed out. Green eyes are auspicious in the East, so I've been told. A genetic bit flip, perhaps, like a cat. I tend to land on my feet when thrown off the balcony by life. I've slipped out of the clammy fingers of death not just once. The color of nature? Perhaps. My soul itself is green. It is the party on my registration card. My father fell in love with nature, pressing its shape into my soul, even though his eyes were never green. Thank you.
Snaps and applause all around. Thank you, Karen. Thank you for sharing. That was very, very sweet of you guys to put together something.
Very good.
Yeah. So to continue on, up next, I actually want to bring up Miss Ana Elizabeth Tovar. Señora Betty, el micrófono es suyo. There she is. Señora Betty, ¿sí nos oye? I saw that she was on the call. Hold on a second, you guys. Señora Betty, if you're able to unmute, ojalá alguien esté ahí para ayudarle. Well, I think we may need to circle back. Señora Betty, si nos está escuchando, la llamaré de nuevo después de la siguiente persona. All right, so continuing on while Señora Betty hopefully works out her mute, I'd like to bring on Miss Carrie Traylor. Carrie, are you able to unmute as well? Carrie, are you still with us? Okay. All right. Well, we'll, I guess, continue on. Carrie, Señora Betty, we'll come back to both of you. So let's see. Continuing on with our list of participants. I believe that brings up next Caro Ska. So ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Caro Ska.
Hi, yeah, that's me. I was like, oh yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna just read one piece, and hi. It's really good to see everybody here. It's yeah, I miss like everyone else. I miss everybody. I feel like Conchas is like the one thing like out of everything of the pandemic. That's the one thing that I'm like, oh, I wish our classes were back in person. Like I'm okay with everything else. It's not. I just miss all of you guys. But let me pull up my poem, and I thought I had it open already, but I guess I don't. But huh. Sorry about that. I'm gonna take a minute to have to pull up the PDF that I thought I had opened already. Okay. Give me just 1 second.
Take your time, Caro. I just want to say, Mauricio, Conchas y Café is the one pure and untainted thing in the world. That's pretty heavy, man. But thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, so I found it. It's so the piece that I have in there is called Black Hole. Black hole. In 1987, a supernova's light reaches the Earth, scattering its star spirit debris in our galaxy. Are we not made of stars? In 1987, A 36-year-old woman gives birth. In 1987, showered in star's guts, under the sign of the fish, I detached from the umbilical cord. Born racing churning rivers, born lightning and energy, traveling across the Atlantic, settling in Los Angeles. Born making up fairy tales of bunnies and bears, told not to, told be practical, told I mop floors so you can be a doctor. In chemistry, I write poems in the back of my notebook, lyrics instead of formulas. In calculus, I add letters, factor imagery, and multiply metaphors. In English, my teacher asks, "Did you really write this?" Doesn't believe me when I say yes. In 1987, a supernova explosion reached Earth. I absorbed her, energy in my first breath. By 2005, by 2005, I I graduated high school, um, deflated and unsparkled, creativity stripped by California Common Core standards, and choosing between home ec or computers. By 2009, vacuumed out by predominantly white institutions and white kids who got 1600s on their SATs. Behind every supernova is a black hole. Mine swallows me. Cocooned in darkness, I find voices and whispers, others like me. Our fingers linked, we grow. Creativity blooms in community spaces. Creativity blooms under brown skin and on cracked streets. Creativity blooms when we say we're all made of stars. Behind every supernova is a black hole where we shine in our own galaxy without the rules. Thank you. That is it for me. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate hearing everybody. Y'all are amazing and great. And I can't wait to get my copy in the mail.
Yes, thank you, Caro. All of you should be getting your copies, if not today, within the next couple of days. The couple of orders that have been done through the DSTL Arts website have been taking a little bit longer to be delivered, obviously because of the pandemic. So do be patient. But you should be receiving copies very, very soon of the physical Conchas y Café Zine. Carrie, Senora Betty, are either of you ready to present? Give it a quick second here.
Yeah, there's a if you can unmute yourself on the bottom. There should be like a little I don't know like a little button.
Little microphone.
Like a little. It doesn't really look like a microphone, but yeah, it's like if you click on the screen, it should pop up on the bottom.
Or if you're on your smartphone, just tap on it. Yeah, I saw Betty just left. Carrie, are you still with us? Well, in the meantime, just want to obviously remind you all that the Conchas y Café Google Classroom is active for Volume 6, Issue 1. So definitely feel free to sign up. I did share earlier the class code that you can use to register. And I'll be sharing it on the DSTL Arts social media pages, as well as on the most recent Human Journey version of the Google Classroom. Señora Betty, si nos está escuchando, tiene usted el micrófono, si está lista para presentar su trabajo. Más que no la escuchamos. Still on mute. Looks like Carrie left it to can't unmute Señora Betty. Señora Betty, si está... there's Carrie. I see Carrie popping back up. Carrie, you're on mute. We can't hear you. You're on mute, Carrie. You're muted. Give her a quick second, everyone. We can't hear you. Unfortunately, I can't unmute you either. I don't think anybody can read it, Mauricio. If you tap on your screen, Carrie, you should be able to see a little icon that pops up that looks like a microphone. If you tap on it, can't hear you. Sorry, Carrie. I don't know. Would you like me to read your pieces, Carrie? Yeah. All right. I'm getting a head nod there. So we'll start off with the first one that appears in the zine. It's called The Essence. Anybody following along, that's on page 41 of the physical zine. This is The Essence by Carrie Trailer. Movement number 1. Pieces of me, like scraps of paper folded up with words and stories and pictures, people who may have had an impact on my being, warmth of a smile or baked peanut butter cookies with fork imprints pressed on top. Movement 2. Mid-1960s, Long Beach, California, setting the scene. Card table, chairs, in the living room at Grandpa and Grandma's house. Grandkids and grandparents playing canasta, dealing cards, keeping score, smiling, having fun. I remember the scene. I forgot the rules. Movement 3. 1950s, Castalia, Ohio. My brother and I dug a hole in the garden, added water and made mud. We spread it on our arms and legs, then ran to the front door and knocked. Mom opened, holding. Baby, we smiled. She said, wash off the mud and stop doing mischief. We ran to the backyard, laughing. My brother said, let's do mischief every day. Movement 4. 1969, LA. My brother and a friend and I snuck into the Hollywood Palladium to see The Who perform Tommy. We moved quickly and blended in with the crowd. We enjoyed an epic concert. Then we hitchhiked home. At Venice and La Cienega, police questioned us. So we walked the last 2.5 miles home. Movement 5. Late 60s LA, cultural influences, hair at the Aquarius Theater, Vietnam War protests, politics, concerts, Woodstock, Venice Beach, experimenting with drugs. One time, my mom asked about drugs. She said, show me. I showed her a little white pill. She said, I think you should be able to get high on life. That phrase stuck with me. It helped. Movement 6. Stories sift through the past. The essence drifts to the present, sort of like light through leaves. Yeah. Did I do your poem justice, Carrie? All right. Appreciate the thumbs up. All right. And Carrie, if you don't mind, I'll read maybe one more of yours. Is that good? Let's see. If it's okay with you, Carrie, I'd like to read End of Life. Is that all right? End of Life, page 119, for anybody following along. We are End of Life by Carrie Trailer. She was on a hospital bed in the living room in plain sight. She wasn't stirring. She usually stirred. Her face was peaceful. My sister and I were there. We waited to check on her. When we did, She felt cold. That was it. It was over. She was gone. We called hospice. They sent a chaplain. They reported her death. Neptune Society came and took her body away. That was it. It was over. We knew it was coming, not knowing when. It was still a shock in that moment. Hospice care was a relief for our family who cared for her. To receive support from individuals who stopped by to nurse, counsel, sing, bathe, and pray was amazing. We sang to my mom. We bathed her and shampooed her hair. She went out with clean hair. My mom lived life full force through family, artistry, teaching, and adventure. She was all in. 6 months later, in Marina del Rey, we took a boat ride. We poured her ashes into the Pacific. After a storm, it was a clear, glorious blue day. One she would have loved completely. We love you completely too, Mom. The end. Getting snaps and applause there, Carrie, for your work. Thank you for sharing such a personal story too. It was a very sweet one, and I'm glad that it was able to be a part of our issue here. Do we still have Señora Betty with us? Betty, Señora Betty, si nos está escuchando, me gustaría compartir su trabajo también. I don't know if she's able to unmute. So I guess I'll finish us off then with Señora Betty's work, if it's okay with her, I hope. Let's see, we'll go with El Umbral, page 31. Anybody following along? This is El Umbral by Ana Elizabeth Tovar. Un lugar donde no puede regresar al pasado, solo cruzando el umbral del tiempo, cerrando los ojos y recordando los dulces juegos de infancia, buscando a la niña traviesa, de carita pintada, de boquita de corazón, mejillas rojas y pestañas rizadas, nariz respingada y un toque de talco en sus pequeñas mejillas. Presumida y coqueta, con los ojitos llenos de amor, descubrió que ¿qué puedo hacer magia con el make-up de mamá? Y así grabado en la memoria, en un recuerdo que es como un botón que florece de noche y de día se cierra, que se alimentaron los sueños. Donde la niña pregunta, abuelita, ¿qué voy a hacer cuando sea grande? Dulcemente la abuela responde, serás una muchacha que seguirás los consejos de tus padres. Te casarás con un hombre ranchero como tu padre, que le guste el campo. La niña suspira y empieza un canto. Brinca que brinca, al bebe leche, osito, osito, tira la piedra. Canta dulcemente la niña. Y así se fueron los días pasando a otro umbral entre cantos y rezos, de rodillas ante el altar, haciendo una ofrenda a la vida. Y así se definen los caminos que construyen el futuro, donde una niña que definió su vida, donde aprende a vivir con sombras vestidas de ángeles. La abuela vestida de hada hace un hechizo de amor y así la niña en un halo de sueños sigue su camino cruzando el umbral cada noche. Despertando cada mañana, abriendo y cerrando los párpados, queriendo seguir en el umbral del sueño, a una realidad de querer ser niña. Cuando descubre que la noche es corta, como la vida, se nos fue persiguiendo metas, o solo vivir por vivir, y que las sombras siguen ahí. Ahora, contándolo al oído, brinca que brinca, al bebe leche, osito, osito, tira la piedra. Y sigue cruzando el umbral de los sueños, y un día romperá las cadenas del tiempo, y serás libre, y así romperás el hechizo donde las sombras angelicales compartirán al infinito. Snaps and applause for Señora Betty Tovar.
Snap, snaps, and applause.
Yes, that kind of snaps and applause, Miss Rose. All right. So,
I'm going to sign off, Louis, okay?
oh, that's perfect because I was actually about to sign off as well.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone.
This is Dee.
Take care. Stay safe. Hopefully, I'll see you all on Tuesday for our very first session of Conchas y Café, Volume 6, Issue 1. Take care, everyone. It was a pleasure to see you all, to hear you all.
Oh, Louise.
Yes.
This is Melanie. I'm back.
Welcome back.
But I was listening in the car.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it was like a drive-by birthday party. So I was listening in the car. But you know what? My daughter said the Google thing, when you put it on, it didn't click on, so I couldn't see it on my phone.
Okay. All right.
So
well,
anyway,
in
I
any
have to do
case-
better.
Well, in any case, we'll be doing Google Meet. We'll be using Google Meet for future workshop sessions beginning on Tuesday. For those that register on the Google Classroom, I'll be sharing the details for joining us via Google Meet, using video conferencing to hopefully have conversations.
Make them simple for Lois, you know, her age.
Well, how can I register, Louise?
For everyone that is part of the Conchas y Café workshops, I'll be sure to be sending emails to invite you to join. For those of you that haven't signed up through Google Meet yet, but just remember, using Google Classroom, you'll be able to register using the class code that I'll be sharing across all of our social media. And as well as on the Google Classroom that currently exists for Conchas y Café. So, and then, those of you that didn't register through Google Classroom but were in touch with me, either through text message or through email, I'll share with you again the information for how to join. So,
and how are we going to get our books? The books.
The physical copies of the zine have been mailed off. So, so you should be receiving them any day now.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And
well,
for everybody that's,
enjoyed it.
It was
wonderful.
Yes, it was wonderful. Thank you for joining us in the very first virtual reading. And for anybody that's watching on the live stream and would like to support, you're obviously welcome to visit distilarts.org. That's DSTLARTS.org. And you can actually purchase a copy of the zine online, and it'll be mailed to you ASAP. So, so thanks again, everyone. Looking forward to Tuesday to seeing everyone and hearing everyone. Take care, all, and that concludes our Conchas y Café reading.
All right. This is Dee. Talk to you later.
Bye, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye now.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Miss you
Yes,
guys.
thank you.
I know, miss you guys.